Thanks, Lou. As Lou mentioned, we're in the midst of perhaps the strongest run of boxing on the network in the entire 30-year history of boxing on Showtime. You know, at a time when other networks are cutting back on their boxing programming, we're bringing it to the forefront, reinvesting in the sport and giving it a platform as big as it's ever had. Month after month, we've done our best to bring the best boxing we can to fans, and what has resulted is the strongest lineup of any network this year.
Conte's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Unbelievable night of boxing on free TV. There hasn't been a fight on CBS in over 40 years. And Al Heyman and the Pbc'S series, they bring the biggest fight of the year to date to free TV. Congratulations to Keith one-time Thurman. Congratulations to Showtime Shawn Porter. It's interesting because when I did the radio show this week, I had Mickey Bay and boxing manager Miles Bailey on the show. And Miles Bailey, he compared this fight to Hagler versus Hearns. Mickey Bay, he agreed with that, but he also compared this fight to Sugar Ray Leonard versus Hagler. This classic fight tonight was reminiscent of both of those fights. Unbelievable seesaw battle. You know, this just goes to show you once again, styles make fights, because this was a very close fight. A lot of people were under the impression that Keith Thurman would just run over and dominate Shawn Porter. Everyone kept saying Shawn Porter, he was sloppy, he was this and he was that. I think a lot of fans were also more impressed with Keith Thurman being undefeated. So despite fans believing that Keith Thurman, he had this fight hands down, this fight turned out to be extremely close. A fight that easily could have gone either way. Now, it's pretty ironic that Keith Thurman, he said in a press conference leading up to this fight, he said, all I have to do is win 7 rounds to 5. That's what Keith Thurman said. And it turns out Keith Thurman, he won 7 rounds to 5 on all judges' scorecards, including Showtime's Steve Farhood's scorecard. 115 to 113. That is 7 rounds to 5. How crazy is that? Unbelievable fight. Explosive from the first round. Like I said, it went back and forth. What about Shawn Porter's chin? Did you see the punches that Shawn Porter took in this fight? He took these shots that looked like bombs exploding on his face, and he would come right back without missing a beat. This was a win for, of course, the boxing fans, but this was a win for both fighters. There really isn't a loser in this fight. Of course, Porter, he wanted that belt, and you know, when he goes back to his locker room, he's not going to feel good knowing that he took an L, but at the same time, he can keep his head up because this was a very razor-thin type of decision. I mean, ebb and flow back and forth the whole night. There were so many rounds where Shawn Porter, he would start winning the round. And then Keith Thurman would rally right back. Like in the round where Shawn Porter, he caught Thurman with a left hook to the body, and he hurt Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman, it took him about, 20 seconds to recover? Next thing you know, here comes Keith Thurman rallying back, and he wins the second half of that round. The majority of the rounds went like that. I was really impressed with Keith Thurman, man. I was really impressed with Shawn Porter. You know, once again, a lot of people, they have the perception that Shawn Porter is this ugly fighter, but he looked good in this fight. I mean, there were rounds when Shawn Porter was actually outboxing Keith Thurman for part of the round. There were rounds when Shawn Porter was landing the better jabs. And then, of course, there were rounds where vice versa. Keith Thurman was outboxing Shawn Porter as well. But it was a grueling fight. You could just look at the fighters' face expressions in the championship rounds, and you could tell they were saying to themselves, damn, this is a real damn fight right here. It makes me think about the documentary Sugar Ray Leonard did when he was describing how he felt in those championship rounds when he was fighting against Roberto Duran. I mean, he had to really, really push himself. Sugar Ray Leonard, he said, now he knew what Muhammad Ali meant when Ali was fighting against Frazier, and he said it was the closest thing to death. Now, and I don't know if Keith Thurman thought this was the closest thing to death, but he definitely thought that that was the closest thing to losing his championship belt. Congratulations to Al Haymon in the PBC series. As a boxing fan, we should all be feeling real good with the direction that Al Haymon and CBS/Showtime is taking the sport. This was the biggest, most significant fight card of the year. And then the card opens up with another great fight, the Battle of the Undefeateds. Swift Jarrett Hurd versus Oscar Molina. And when I say undefeated fighters, I'm not just talking about just some guys with an undefeated record that don't look special. I'm talking about two fighters that are very promising pros. Oscar Molina is an Olympian. He had over 240 fights as an amateur. He was the best, one of the best in the country as an amateur, versus Jarrett Hurd, who just beat him. He is looking like one of the best 154 pounders in the world. Very dominant performance. But I'm going to do a separate video talking about that fight. The point in this video is the fact that Al Haymon and the PBC series, they always put on these undercards where it's almost always undefeated fighters going up against each other. You had David Benavidez, which is Jose Benavidez's younger brother, and I believe it's David Benavidez. He battled against another undefeated fighter today. He scored a knockout. Another fighter signed with Al Haymon, of course. So we get all of these undefeated fighters going against each other in real significant fights. Why? Because Al Haymon's philosophy is basically, even if you lose, we are still going to bring you back, so don't worry about it. That is more of an NBA, NFL type of structure. See, a lot of times with other promoters, we don't usually get to see their undefeated fighters go up against other undefeated fighters in fear of that fighter losing, and he has to go all the way back to the end of the line and damn near start over. When you sign with Al Haymon in the PBC series, you don't have to worry about that. Because once again, just like the NFL, you come back the very next week and it's like nothing ever happened. That is how it is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be so worried about stepping up in competition because you don't know if you'll ever get this opportunity again. Okay? This is the reason why Mikey Garcia decided to sign with Al Haymon as opposed to signing to Golden Boy Promotions. So once again, congratulations to Keith one-time Thurman. He really, really dug deep to win this fight. I have no complaints at all. I know some people, they believe that Porter should have won the fight, but once again, there was 3 judges, and all 3 of them, they scored the fight the exact same way, 7 rounds to 5, which one more time is exactly what Keith Thurman damn near predicted. It was almost a prediction. But anyway, the unofficial tournament continues. We just got Thurman versus Porter tonight. We get Kell Brook versus Jesse Vargas next. We have Errol Spence as Kell Brook's mandatory. There's even talks now of Manny Pacquiao coming back to fight Adrian Broner. I doubt that Manny Pacquiao would fight Keith Thurman, but if he did, that would be a hell of a fight as well, or any of those other top-notch welterweights. So, but anyway, once again, congratulations to Keith Thurman. I'll probably be talking a lot more about this fight. Fans are already nominating this as Fight of the Year, or at least candidate for Fight of the Year. And it was all on free TV. Can you guys believe that? The first fight on CBS that was broadcasted to the masses. This is the first big fight, or first fight that's been on CBS in 40 years since Muhammad Ali fought on CBS against Spinks, Leon Spinks. So that is big. And I know now we're going to see a whole lot more fights. This is how you do it. You know, I want people to understand this as well. The fact that CBS and Al Heyman, they're putting these fights on free TV. They're not the only ones that have ever put fights on free TV. Top Rank and Golden Boy, they have put fights on free TV as well. They just haven't been this successful. So I think that's very important to note. But with that all being said, this was a very, very good night for boxing fans, and definitely for Keith Thurman. And that's all I got for now. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!